My name is...
This is Carla Aquatina Hunger Force, and I'm congratulating you on your 100th episode of your podcast, Play That Rock and Roll. I gave you 1 star on your podcast because you got way too many episodes about friggin' Jimmy Buffett. Alright, I don't wear no hush puppies. Alright, I ain't no friggin' parrot head.
Welcome back to our retrospective on Jimmy Buffett. In our last episode, we covered the commercial peak of Jimmy's catalog, which included the release of his career-defining track Margaritaville, as well as a series of other hit songs that would provide the basis of his wildly popular live shows. We also discussed a movie that he recorded the full soundtrack for, and we even settled the debate over exactly what makes up a proper cheeseburger in paradise. We left off with Jimmy firing on all cylinders. His string of late 70s albums cemented him as one of the quintessential artists of that decade, despite rock radio's refusal to embrace him beyond the undeniable Margaritaville. Today, we will take a look at how he adjusted to the 80s. He opened the decade with contributions to 2 of that era's most iconic soundtrack albums. And his studio releases were like clockwork, 1 album per year starting in 1981. The quality varied sharply. We will cover some good albums today, and also some bad. Regardless of quality, sales declined, which did not help his struggles with the radio. So, in an effort to diversify his portfolio, he leaned into his one big hit and opened a small merch store in Key West. Little did he know that, over time, this one little shop would evolve into one of the most recognizable brands in the world. The early 80s found Jimmy in uncharted waters on multiple fronts, as his marriage was, arguably, in worse shape than his career. So in today's episode, we will cover this uncertain time by discussing the 4 albums he released during this stretch, the iconic film soundtracks he was a part of, and the humble launch of the business that would eventually make him his real money. So without further ado, let's take a look back at Jimmy as he navigates the start of the MTV decade. Pour yourself something tall and strong, make it a hurricane before you go insane, as over the next hour or so, my friend Chris and I will chronicle Jimmy's music and stories from 1980 through 1984. This is a podcast looks at Jimmy, Part 3, Jimmy Buffett in the early 80s. We are starting up the much-delayed 3rd part of our mini-series about Jimmy Buffett, a podcast looks at Jimmy. This episode is going to take us through the early 80s era of Jimmy's catalog. We are now entering a long stretch of Jimmy's career that neither you or I are very familiar with. By the way, Chris, good to see you again. Thanks for joining us.
Good to see you. Glad to be here.
All right. So, how were you feeling as we are going into this unknown era before you listen to any of the music?
For the 80s, you know that I have a little bit less tolerance than you do.
Right.
For a lot of the production of music in the 80s. So, a little trepidation there, but I'm looking forward to it, when I went into it.
Yeah, so in that last episode, we talked about Jimmy's late 70s hot streak, which included all his biggest hit singles, all his biggest hit records. Basically his commercial peak as far as the radio goes. So we are starting this episode where Jimmy should be pretty well positioned to keep that going. But as I've talked about in other podcast episodes, 1980 hit a whole bunch of classic rockers like a brick wall. And there are so many awesome 70s careers that end on a dime in 80, 81.
I mean, I think the universe kind of had something to say with that. I'm being serious with the death of John Lennon.
Yeah.
It was sort of like, the zeitgeist. The whole thing was like everything moving towards rock just kind of failing.
A lot of bands ended in 1980. Led Zeppelin, the death of John Bonham. The Eagles broke up, and I know you're a big fan of the Eagles.
So one good thing for rock music.
Well, get ready. We're going to be talking about those guys in this episode. Before we dive into it, there are some recent goings-on. Unfortunately, there had been a big gap in between this series for us. Frankly, it's my fault. I lost focus on this. I took most of the summer off. But at the end of this summer, you and I went to see the Coral Reefer Band
We did.
at the AmFam Amphitheater here in Milwaukee. They were on a tour with the Doobie Brothers, the Reefer Doobie Tour. I have to think whoever put that tour together knew what they were doing.
Oh, yeah.
My only regret is that I did not take a gummy before the show, because I think that would have been... We should have got some of those THC seltzers, to really get into the vibe. But this is their first tour without Jimmy. You and I have seen Jimmy once before, but it's been a couple of years. So what was your reaction to their set that we saw?
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
I mean, having seen Jimmy live and now seeing them, it was obviously missing the man himself, but it was a great show.
Yeah, the songs are obviously undeniable, but the performances of the songs were sprinkled throughout the various players in the band. So there were multiple people singing at different points, so there wasn't too much pressure on one person to take over that spotlight, even though Mac McAnally is definitely the band leader.
There's also going for them the fact that Buffett basically toured as a best of act
Yeah.
for a very long time, to his credit.
Yep.
I mean, he gave the audience exactly what they wanted, and the Reefer Band did not disappoint in that way.
Yeah. And I'm happy that the Doobies, or whoever, again, managed this tour, gave them a proper amount of time. Jimmy Buffett concerts were long. They did have the big 8, the greatest hits he had to play every time, which was really like 12 songs that he had to play every show. And they got to all of them, and they still managed to get in a couple of deeper cuts. But if the Doobies were like, yeah, you guys get a half hour, I think that show actually would have been like really disappointing, because like some concerts need that room to stretch.
And in all fairness to the Doobies, I mean, there were a number of people who left after the Coral Reefer Band played. And I really do feel like it was as much a co-headliner. I mean, it wasn't billed that way, obviously, but it kind of was.
I think you're absolutely right. I think that really was it should have been a co-headlining tour. But yeah, a lot of people did leave. And unfortunately, there were just a lot of empty seats when we went. I don't even think they booked the right venue. But in any case, it was a really fun show. And that is absolutely a reminder that I need to get my shit together and get this mini-series back on track. So I'm glad you're back with me. And let's dive in to Jimmy Buffett in the early 80s. And we are going to start off in 1980 with some movie talk, because Jimmy contributed a song to the Urban Cowboy soundtrack. And the Urban Cowboy soundtrack is one of the absolute biggest and most famous soundtracks of the 80s.
He rides a mechanical bull instead of a horse. He punches a time clock instead of cattle. But inside, he's a cowboy, and he proves it every night in the biggest honky-tonk in the country.
You real cowboy?
The devil's in the house of the rising sun.
Well, it depends on what you think a real cowboy is.
John Travolta, Urban Cowboy, rated PG.
He contributed a song called Hello Texas, which is fine. I thought it was like a good song that he could play if he was doing a concert in Texas. But beyond that, didn't really stand out to me too much. It reminded me a lot of his music on Rancho Deluxe.
Yeah.
And that music, again, was fine, but it did knock me out. And it also doesn't really stand out too much on that album, because there is a lot of good quality stuff on that album. That album has Devil Went Down to Georgia, Lion Eyes from the Eagles, and of course, one of my all-time favorite songs from one of my all-time favorite guys, Joe Walsh's All Night Long, is from that album. And that blows everything else on that album out of the water. Have you seen Urban Cowboy, and what do you think of the soundtrack?
Well, we talked about my fear of Urban Cowboy because of the main antagonist in there. You know, the scenes with him in like a fishnet shirt and stuff, just really, and wearing like the 10-gallon hat with the fishnet shirt.
Yeah.
It's nightmare fuel, man.
Yeah.
The soundtrack is exactly what you'd expect.
Right.
Charlie Daniels is the standout for that. And then, of course, Joe Walsh, the one tolerable eagle.
Yeah.
Buffett's contribution does not shine through at all.
No, not really. Well, you know what's interesting is that soundtrack was so popular that it was a cultural moment. Like, there's a lot written about how bars at the time were rushing to get mechanical bulls. All these yuppies, all these Wall Street douchebag yuppies would start wearing cowboy hats and boots, even if they're in New York or some shit. everything I've read about this horrifies me. I am not into it at all, so I haven't seen the movie.
I think the yuppies went for it because it's like, oh, look at this. Culture.
Yeah.
So,
white culture.
yeah, white culture. Yeah, that's...
I wonder if Hello Texas was left over from the Rancho Deluxe stuff.
It would make sense.
Yeah. So let's move on to his proper discography. In February of 1981, he released Coconut Telegraph. And in our last episode, you told me you had listened to that one because you thought we were going to do it for that episode, and you were really big on that one.
Yeah, it only improved.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, upon subsequent listens, I remember why I liked it so much however many months ago when we did that last one.
Do you think it stands up with what he had been putting out in the late 70s?
I do.
Yeah.
Coconut Telegraph is, I would think, a lot more hits than
For
this
sure.
is.
Okay, well, let's talk about some of those hits. A couple were singles. The first single was It's My Job, which hit number 57 on Billboard. It was the last appearance on the Billboard Hot 100 for over 20 years for Jimmy. It was not a song that he wrote. It was written by Mac McAnally, who now leads the Coral Reefer Band. But at this point, he was just a songwriter that Jimmy knew and I guess was impressed by. And he brought him in and he recorded his song because Mac had previously put out this version on a 1980 album called Cuttin' Corners, which I will say is a great album title. So let's undercut your compliments to Coconut Telegraph. What do you think of It's My Job?
So one of the ways that I like to gauge my opinion on an album is after I listen to it all the way through, I give every song a chance. Subsequent listens, what do I skip past? And it's a credit to It's My Job that I don't skip past it because I find it so ridiculous and terrible.
So what is It's My Job about? I think the intent is to present people in very blue-collar working-class jobs like custodians as humble and grateful, and also giving a different perspective to guys in high-level jobs like executives. And then also, sharing another side to the whole rock star lifestyle and tying them all together by saying, hey, this is our job. I think I know what Mac was trying to do with this song, but it comes off as so, resigned and just defeated. It's a weird emotion to write a song about.
I personally would like it more if it was more resigned. I mean that. I feel like there's so little emphasis placed on how little pay these people get compared to the executives or the songwriters or whatever. How difficult the job is seemingly compared to what... I mean, I don't know. For me, that's what makes it so bad.
Yeah.
There's no critique, really, of the fact that they're stuck in these jobs.
No, there's no critique at all. It's an odd song, and it's a real odd pick for a single.
I think I said it sounds like Christmas shoes. That's...
Yes. Okay, I'll try and find something positive about the song. Mac later joined the Coral Reefer Band, became a longtime sideman for Jimmy, and that resulted in him basically taking over the band after Jimmy passed away, and he leads them now. When Jimmy was still alive, he performed this song during a surprise appearance at one of Mac's gigs in Portsmouth, Rhode Island in July 2023. It was a short set, an acoustic set, but it was also Jimmy's final live performance. So, at the very least, it is sweet that Jimmy's last performance was with his most trusty sideman, and they sang this song, which was their, I think, first collaboration ever together on stage. So that's a nice send-off. Okay, well, let's talk about some of the other songs on the album. So that's the one that is so bad it's good.
Yeah.
We have some fun with it. But what are the songs on the album that stand out to you as just good?
Coconut Telegraph.
Absolutely.
Incommunicado.
Yep.
The Good Fight I like a lot.
Yeah.
Growing Older But Not Up. The song is fine, but it's got kind of a fun, very Jimmy sort of message to it.
That's what I'm saying. The title right there is core Jimmy. That's his appeal. That fun little wordplay that speaks to the whole Parrot Head identity.
The whole album, I think, is pretty good. Little Miss Magic could be a little much, but it's fine.
Well, I think you got to give him some room for that because that's about his daughter.
I know.
And it's, a parent is always going to write a sappy song about their kid. The Weather Is Here, Wish You Were Beautiful. That's another proper Parrot Head song. And it is very funny. It's among his funniest songs. And I just don't understand, why wasn't this the single? Why did they go with It's My Job and not this one? Especially because this one is so in tune with what he was putting out in the late 70s. Was he thinking that his singles weren't punching through in the way he wanted them to in the 70s? Because we did talk about that. And did he think, oh, I got to do a serious song to break through a little more?
I think you need to think about the time period. Reagan was just elected.
Right.
Let's
oh yeah.
let's release a song that really hammers home the fact that, like, hey, this is your job, you're gonna like it. And you're gonna get paid not well.
Yeah. Overall, looking at this album, does it work for you because it's a good mix of Jimmy the songwriter versus Jimmy the Parrot Head?
Honestly, with Jimmy, I'm not looking for coherent whole albums. I'm just looking for songs that I feel like I like, and if it's consistent, then I like the album.
That's interesting. Yeah, okay, so that's something we haven't talked about before, the idea of an album artist versus a singles artist versus a grab bag songs artist. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we get to the end of this series and think Jimmy's like a really good example of like a grab bag hit and miss songs guy. Because we've definitely gone through a couple of albums, especially in his early career, where like most of the songs are mid to suck, but there's a genuine gem. So let's move to his next album, which was released in January of 1982. This is called Somewhere Over China. This album is, I think, not familiar to most people. It typically ranks near the bottom of Jimmy's catalog for most Parrot Heads and lists that I've seen online. There's a song called Where's the Party that was released as the single. Didn't chart, but he mentions in the lyrics, sometimes I wish the radio would learn another song. And I have to think that was him expressing a level of frustration about Margaritaville being the only song of his to get consistent airplay at this point of his career, early 80s. Even though the text of the lyrics might imply that he's talking about radio as too formulaic, just period. What did you think of Summer Over China, just overall?
So first of all, biggest gripe with the album is the album cover.
Yeah, okay.
Because he's not standing over China.
No. Okay, so he's standing on a map of the world, and I think he's standing on
He conquered Africa.
Yeah, okay. As the viewer looking at the album cover can see China. So he's looming over China. How about that? Call it looming over China.
Looming over China would be a better album title.
That would be pretty...
It's not a totally different interpretation of that, but I kind of like it.
Yeah, I do kind of like that, too. It could be like an anti-communist album. One of my favorites from this era of his is a song here called It's Midnight and I'm Not Famous Yet. First of all, great title. He's in rock mode, and he doesn't go into like just rock and roll mode all that often, but it really works when he does.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And another one here called I Heard I Was in Town. Another great title, and I always say, the mark of a great songwriter is the ability to come up with great titles. The story behind that song is that Jimmy was at some bar and he overheard a conversation in which someone was telling their friend how they went out drinking once with Jimmy Buffett. And Jimmy looks over at them and thinks, I've never seen this guy before in my life. So he's now become the guy that people would make stories up about how they got to hang out with him. And I learned that little fact by reading Ryan White's fantastic book, Jimmy Buffett, A Good Life All the Way. Got to give that a shout out. Can you imagine being in a social setting and overhearing someone talking about you and then making it up whole cloth, but it's a brag? That's got to be a bizarre thing to experience.
I'd lean into it. The move is to be like, hey, I remember you.
Oh.
But then say really unflattering things unintentionally or intentionally to make it seem unintentional about the person telling the story.
Oh, right.
Yeah, is that when you took your pants off and you're like, yeah, I remember you,
Oh, that's great. Yeah, you should have watched. That'd be a power play.
Is your butt still sore?
couple other tracks to point out. One song called If I Could Just Get It on Paper, which is about songwriting itself. That one felt like some of the stuff he was writing in the mid-'70s, like right before his boom. So I kind of like that as a throwback. But it was also like, yeah, I've heard him do this type of music before. Speaking of types of songs he's done before, there's one called Steamer, which is about a boat. Our man loves writing songs that involve a boat.
And airplanes.
And airplanes. So,
modes of travel.
Yeah, exactly.
Springsteen's got the cars.
Right.
I'm doing boats and airplanes. Lip service I've grown to kind of enjoy.
Okay. Yeah, is there some lyrics in there that you like, or what about lip service works for you?
It's the perfect boomer guy song.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, your bitching and your crying finally got to me, so I thought I'd take you, baby, on a shopping spree.
Yeah.
Holy shit. And then you bought a space-age watch and an antique hat. Hell, now it's digital this and digital that.
Oh, my God, yeah. That sounds like everybody's dad complaining about their wife. As we go on into this mini-series, we are going to have to grapple with the fact that he absolutely became the favorite artist of your most tacky uncle. All right, any other thoughts about Somewhere Over China?
It's fine. It's just fine as a Buffett album. I would say it stacks up against some of his lesser accomplished early stuff.
I think I would describe it as a little less than fine, because there's a song or two here that I like, but a lot of this blends together, and I don't really have a desire to listen to it again. So after this album was put out, I think Jimmy was starting to feel that his career might be on thin ice. He probably was getting used to the idea that he might only be known for one song. So it seems that he decided to lean into that a little bit, because in 1982, the first ideas for a Margaritaville the movie start coming to the surface and are floated around. Specifically, a script written by P.J. O'Rourke, and it ultimately stalls in pre-production, never gets made. Jimmy talks about it in the press for years, into the late 80s, saying how we're still working on it, it's still coming. Apparently, at one point, Harrison Ford and Robert Redford were approached, and they both passed on it.
So Ford would be Buffett, I assume?
No, it wasn't a biopic. It was basically a love story, like a love triangle, something to that effect.
Okay.
Yeah. Would you ever want to see a Margaritaville the movie in the 80s?
At the time period? Like if I could watch that in 100%.
Yes, absolutely. So what type of movie would Margaritaville the movie be? Would it be something like a teen sex romp with like the Brat Pack? Or would it be like a boomer movie like The Big Chill? Or maybe a sleazy skin flick like Blame It on Rio? What are we thinking? Where would Margaritaville the movie fall?
All of it.
All of it, yes.
You have two parallel stories. One's the Brat Pack movie, and then the other one is your
parents.
Big Chill, like parents or just older folks at Margaritaville.
Okay.
And then of course everybody's having sex, so it's just the whole thing is just a raunch fest.
Yeah, I think you got to have a young Tom Hanks in there. I picture him on the poster holding a margarita, doing that face he does.
Yeah. The Tom Hanks face.
Tom Hanks face, yeah. Dan Aykroyd in a small bit role in the background somewhere. Yeah, they're okay. We are probably miles away from P.J. O'Rourke's idea, but whatever, our ideas are better. Okay, let's talk about a movie that did get made, because Jimmy contributed a song to another massive soundtrack of the 80s.
Universal Pictures presents everything you always wanted to do in high school with everyone you always wanted to do it with.
Hey, bud, let's party.
They're the students of Ridgemont High. Brad Hamilton, the fast food king.
I shall serve no fries before their time.
It says 100% guaranteed, you moron.
Mister, if you don't shut up, I'm gonna kick 100% of your ass.
Charles Jefferson, a man with a mission.
Oh, gnarly.
Linda Barrett, not exactly the girl next door.
Awesome. Totally awesome.
And Jeff surfs up Spicoli.
People on moods should not drive. That was my skull. I'm so wasted.
See Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High, released in August 1982, included Jimmy's song I Don't Know, Spicoli's theme. And in contrast to how I felt about his contribution to Urban Cowboy, I freaking love I Don't Know on the Fast Times at Ridgemont High soundtrack. This song rocks. And if not for the presence of Jackson Browne's Somebody's Baby, I would say this is the best song there.
Spicoli's theme.
Yes, they're taking an exam, and they're all cheating on the exam in different ways, and this is the perfect song to play as the kids are doing it. That's a fun movie. I watched it for the first time last night. I had not seen it before, to my regret, because I love Judge Reinhold. So watching him in anything is fun for me.
I feel like it's the template for every, I guess, slightly higher concept, like teen, like sex comedy.
Okay.
It's very good.
It's not nearly as sleazy as some movies in that genre got. I think Fast Times aged pretty well. Would I put it alongside like the John Hughes comedies of the Brat Pack later on? I don't know.
I would say it's less cloying than a John Hughes movie. How about that?
Yeah, well done. And a better soundtrack than all of them.
Oh,
There's
100%.
some fun songs here. Whole bunch of Eagles on this soundtrack. We have songs from Don Henley, Timothy B. Schmidt, Joe Walsh again, although his song isn't that great, Don Felder.
Yeah.
All of the main Eagles except for Glenn Frey. So, do you actually like that soundtrack as a whole, or do you just like Jimmy's song?
Oh, no, I like the whole thing. I mean, you got Hagar doing the
Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Graham Nash.
Yep.
The Go-Go's. I mean, it's a solid soundtrack.
Yeah, the Go-Go's are awesome. Nancy Wilson has a cameo. She's the one in the sports car when Judge Reinhold is driving in his pirate suit. And Nancy Wilson was, I don't know if she was married to Cameron Crowe at that point, but she was at least dating him. So yeah, fun movie, and Jimmy has a standout moment there. It didn't really stand the test of time in the same way that some of the more popular songs of that soundtrack did. I mean, when you say Fast Times at Ridgemont High, I think everybody thinks of Somebody's Baby.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, there you go. Two of the most quintessential soundtracks of the early 80s. Jimmy's got a song on.
100%.
And that would not be the last time. So, we will continue on and move back to his catalog. A year later, he released One Particular Harbor in September of 1983. And this album is in stark contrast to Somewhere Over China in the sense that it is absolutely a fan favorite. And I believe this is the one that most parrot heads would identify as like his high point of the 80s. The title track, One Particular Harbor, was a concert staple for him. The Coral Reefers played it when we saw them, and that was one of the best parts of the show. And I think this album as a whole holds up pretty much with what he was doing in the late 70s. This should have swapped places with Somewhere Over China, and then you could have made an argument that he had a killer hot streak from the mid-70s through the real early 80s, but I think Somewhere in China kind of disrupts that.
Oh, yeah.
Got a couple of standout tracks here, including a cover of Van Morrison's Brown Eyed Girl. You're a Van Morrison fan. What do you think of that song as a whole, and what do you think of Jimmy's cover?
For me, it was very meh.
Is it too much Jimmy on that with the like marimbas and steel drums? Or do you not like that song?
So I like the song.
Yeah.
What I like about it is there's definitely a certain sort of sad nostalgia to the Van Morrison rendition.
Yeah.
That is completely lost.
Completely
in
lost.
the Buffett, which is fine. It's Buffett. That's kind of what we're expecting.
Yeah.
But it's definitely just a Jimified version of Brown Eyed Girl, which is not my favorite Van Morrison song.
Yeah, this is a party song.
Mm-hmm. You know what I'm going to say? There is a rumor about what the song is about.
Oh, boy.
And hear me out. And when Van Morrison sings it,
yeah,
I get offended when people say that's what the song is about. Because I'm like, that's not what the song's about.
Right.
It's about a girl who has brown eyes,
right.
and he misses her, and they were in love when it was young love and whatever, and that's fine.
Right.
When Buffett sings it, it's absolutely about that.
Yeah, there you go. I can't say it any better. You nailed it. Yep. I wonder if that song, because of how popular it was, did Van have a weird relationship with it, like Jimmy might have had with Margaritaville at this point, because Margaritaville overshadowed so much of what he did.
I think that could be the case. I mean, it makes sense. And it is remarkably different than a lot of his other stuff.
Right. That's always the key.
I mean,
yeah.
This is the guy who did Astral Weeks, and then, he's known for Brown Eyed Girl.
Right. All right. So what else do we have on this album? Oh, I didn't ask you. I mean, the title track. Does that song work for you?
Oh, yeah. 100%. I like the whole album, honestly.
Channels Seinfeld a little bit, don't you think? Yada, yada, yada. You get it? See what I'm doing there?
No.
Oh,
yada, yada, yada. Oh,
Yada.
yeah. I like that.
Yada.
I like that, though.
Yeah. And they're not singing that. Comedy. Off the charts here.
We Are the People Our Parents Warned Us About. It's another one of his sort of staples. You hear that one quite a bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
We saw him at Alpine Valley, and he didn't play it, but during the intermission, they played that song with the video package over the video boards, and that was nice. And I think that is another one of these Parrot Head identity songs. And it certainly wasn't written with this intention, but you know how fans take ownership of songs. When I saw that video package at Alpine Valley, I was just like, yeah, this is what it's all about. This is what the Parrot Heads are all about. And it's a nice song. It's one of the best songs here. One of my favorites on this album is Living It Up, because it sounds like Jimmy found a synthesizer. And I love when non-synthesizer artists pluck around on a keyboard and come up with something that does not sound like anything else on the album or in their catalog, and that one absolutely has a very different sonic vibe than anything he's done previously, and I bet a lot of people hate it. I bet a lot of Parrot Heads hate it. I don't. I love it.
So I kind of liked it too.
Yeah!
And here's the thing. We've talked about, I listen to a lot of this music when I go for my walks.
Okay.
I was in the middle of Whitnall Park.
Okay.
On a trail, alone. That song came on. And my exact reaction was to say out loud, "Oh, looks like you're bringing in the synth there, Jimmy. Nice."
New Wave Jimmy.
Yeah.
This was co-written by, not officially an Eagle, but one of the Eagles' most trusty collaborators, J.D. Souther.
Yeah, he's on the song with Ronstadt on the Urban Cowboy album, and
wrote a bunch of hits for Henley, too. So, yeah, I think this is his strongest album of the early 80s.
You like it better than Coconut Telegraph, huh?
Yeah, not by, leaps and bounds, but yes. Let's move on to something you notified me about earlier this morning. Jimmy, of course, famously had a brief cameo in the film Jurassic World about 10 years ago, where he's running off holding two margaritas, and it's very funny. And I am impressed, but you found another Jimmy cameo from a movie that is not nearly as famous as Jurassic World, but
should be, though.
Should be, and probably a lot less miserable to get through. He had a brief moment in the film Repo Man, which was released in March of 1984.
Meet Otto. He's a clean-cut kid in a dirty business. He repossesses cars. He's a repo man.
You gonna give me my car back, or do I gotta go to your house and shove your dog's head down the toilet?
His mission is to repossess a '64 Chevy, but hidden within its trunk.
What you got in the trunk? You don't want to look in there.
Is the most important discovery in the history of our planet. Repo Man. Not just a job, it's an adventure.
I have not seen this movie. I had heard of it, and I did a quick look at the trailer, and I saw it's got Emilio Estevez and Harry Dean Stanton, both of whom I love, so I really want to see it, but give me a quick rundown of what this movie's all about.
Oh man, it's like a punk indie sci-fi movie.
Sold.
Yeah, it's great. I don't want to give. Honestly, it's so bananas in so many ways. I don't want to tell you too much more about it than that.
And what is Jimmy's little moment?
He's a CIA agent.
Yeah, that's great.
Or some sort of government agent, if I remember right.
Yeah, he pulls some woman into a car. I saw the clip, and I wasn't sure if it was him. I had to watch it twice because the CIA agent or whatever had a full head of hair. Yeah. And as a bald man, I can say this. Jimmy did great work on behalf of the balding.
Okay.
He was losing his hair, starting at his peak when they first started putting him on camera. And he did not go the skinhead route. He did not buzz it down, ever. He always kept his shaggy hair on the side, and when there was still a little on top, he kept it on top. And
well, to be fair, hairpiece or no, he's a CIA agent, so the skinhead route's still kind of...
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And really, it fits because when you think about his movie roles, you mentioned Jurassic World, and then this movie, they both fit because Buffett's music is kind of for, like, cops who are on vacation. So...
And you could say that because who did we party with at Alpine Valley before the Jimmy Show in 2019? Cops who were on vacation.
Cops from Chicago's North Side.
That's right. And you know what? They were a great time. All right, yeah, so you would recommend Repo Man. That's a fun movie, Jimmy stuff aside.
Oh, yeah, it's a great movie.
Well, I would definitely check that out, and I think I would enjoy talking about it more than what we have to move on to talk about, because unfortunately, we have to move on to the last album of Jimmy's that we're going to talk about today, which was released in September of 1984. It's called Riddles in the Sand, and I take every critical thing I said about Somewhere Over China back, because, man, this album sucks. This one was a drag. The original title for this album was going to be Gulf and Western Music, which basically was signaling Jimmy's turn to country, which was a decision that he made, not under pressure from, but after speaking with the people at his label. Everybody felt he was not breaking through on rock radio or pop radio. He just wasn't getting played. And a career move for, frankly, a lot of struggling artists at this time was to turn to country music and to see if, okay, can we salvage a career in country? Unfortunately, this was something he already tried. Like, we talked about how he tried to go country at the very start of his career, and he hated it. So this feels like a backslide, like the de-evolution of an artist. And this album is just so empty and so bereft of anything that I enjoy, that I listened to it once and I don't care to listen to it again. Now, there's nothing outrageously offensive. There's not any, like, truly jaw-dropping bad songs. It's just mush, you know? This stuff just all blends together. All these songs sound the same.
It feels like it was written by council.
Yeah, and I think because it was. All the songs have the same songwriting credits. Every song was written by some combination of Jimmy Buffett, his longtime collaborator Michael Utley, and I hate to do it, but I think I have to put the blame for this album on this guy, songwriter Will Jennings, who I have mixed feelings about because he wrote some of my absolute favorite songs for Steve Winwood, but he also wrote some of my least favorite songs for Eric Clapton. So he's kind of a mixed bag of a songwriter, and I don't want to be too disrespectful about him because he died last year, but he was a hit maker. He wrote a lot of big hit songs. I just think he was a bad fit for Jimmy.
Yeah. You know what's interesting is the most Jimmy sounding song on the album, to me at least, and it's not, I don't think, a good song, but it's the most Jimmy sort of song, is She's Going Out of My Mind, which is not written by Buffett.
Right.
Written by Mac.
Yes, the return of Mac McAnally gives another song to Jimmy. And yeah, he sort of captures Jimmy's vibe better than Jimmy and Utley and Will here. The lead-off single, which also had a music video, is called Who's the Blonde Stranger? And I would just guess by the YouTube comments, there are some parrot heads who have some degree of appreciation for this song. I don't like it at all. The setup for the song was immediately reminiscent of Escape the Pina Colada Song by Rupert Holmes, which is a song I absolutely despise. There's a couple that are cheating on each other. And I was waiting for that punchline that the Pina Colada song has. Because at least it has that. At least there's a punchline. And the end of Jimmy's song is there's no punchline.
It's a cheerful song about the disintegration of a marriage.
Right. I suppose this is where I should mention that he was going through a separation. His wife Jane wanted to get sober, and also she was overwhelmed by the lifestyle and had been married to Jimmy since she'd been 20. She wanted some independence, to find herself, that kind of thing. So she separated from him around this time. They stayed close, like she's in the music video, and they eventually remarried in 1991.
It's interesting. I'm looking at the album titles all in order now.
Yeah.
And we were talking about him not being an album guy, being more of just a single guy.
Sure.
Still holds.
Yeah.
But there's a dark album in here that he just didn't make. He chose, I guess it's very much Buffett's thing, is to take it and turn it into something joyful.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, Who's the Blonde Stranger sets us up for, there's infidelity. When the Wildlife Betrays Me.
Yeah.
She's Going Out of My Mind.
Yep.
Knees of My Heart. Come to the Moon, Love and Decline.
Yeah.
Burn That Bridge. Holy shit.
Yeah, the titles tell a story. That might be the most interesting thing about this album, is that, okay, there is some clear subtext here, just with the titles.
It's his blood on the tracks.
Yeah. Well, you know what? One positive thing I can say about Who's the Blonde Stranger? The music video features one of my, if not my all-time favorite trope of MTV-era music videos. A middle-aged white guy wearing a single diamond stud earring. He looks like Chevy Chase in You Can Call Me Al. There are so many middle-aged rock stars who tried this look in the 80s. It always cracks me up. I love to see it. It is so tacky. Does not make them look cool at all. No. But I love that they try it.
I don't think it really is something anybody goes into unless they're also doing a tremendous amount of cocaine.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one puts that single, no middle-aged white man puts in that single diamond stud and looks in the mirror and thinks, that's a good look. Right. Unless they are also doing a lot of blow.
Yeah, just coked out of their minds. They're looking in a mirror that has white powder on either side of it. So they're looking at a mirror that's face up on a coffee table. Oh,
I always think of the Bart Simpson Sparkle Sparkle.
Yeah.
That's all I can ever think of.
Hello, everybody. Sparkle, sparkle.
In our next episode, I'll tease this. We're going to talk about Jimmy's Live by the Bay video. And in that concert, he is wearing an earring, but it is not a diamond stud. It's a different type of earring, and I would say it might even be better. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, spending a lot of time talking about his fucking earring because there's nothing here to talk about. When the Wildlife Betrays Me. So that song's a little more introspective. It seems like maybe he's feeling some exhaustion from, the Jimmy Buffett lifestyle. So I think that song, could be interesting, but it's just slow and mundane, which in a vacuum isn't necessarily bad, but it's on an album full of songs that are slow and mundane. So it just becomes more of this mush that doesn't connect with for me.
One of his strengths is just he can make a song that is listenable, regardless of whether or not the lyrics are particularly strong. There's a couple of funny lines, and it's got decent music.
Yeah.
That's not really here.
Knees of My Heart. What the fuck are you talking about? What is the knees of my heart? That is such a stupid metaphor, visual, whatever you want to say about it.
It's kind of terrifying visual if you actually really sit and think on it. Like a heart with knees. I know what he's trying to say. It's just, it's a complete failure to launch for me.
One positive I'll say is La Vie Dansante, which is the last song of the album. I felt that was at least a strong closer and probably the best song here. There's a couple of others that I don't hate. Like Come to the Moon and Burn That Bridge were okay. But even those felt like what I would describe as filler material on his previous albums. Like if we were listening to Volcano and Burn That Bridge was on there, I would think, yeah, that's fine, but that's not what I'm going to highlight from the rest of the album. Whereas listening to the stuff that's on here, I guess I have to highlight that one because everything else is so much worse.
My thoughts are kind of with you, where it was listening to it was the B-side's better than the A-side. Because you have the run of Loving the Climb, which is and then you have Burn That Bridge, which I did kind of like.
Yeah.
If only because I like the turn of phrase, instead of like, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. It's like, we'll burn that bridge when we get to it. That was kind of fun.
Yes, absolutely.
And then, then the last song is pretty good. It's fine.
It's okay.
Just a fine,
That's the best we can say about it.
But I'm not going to muscle through the rest of the album for those.
Right. Yeah. Ultimately, we are closing up on kind of a down note as far as his catalog goes. But before we get out of here, I want to wrap with one more story, because this was a pivotal moment in Jimmy's not just artistic career, but his career in life as a whole, because on January 3rd, 1985, the first ever Margaritaville opens in Key West as a souvenir store, a merch store. It became a restaurant in 1986. There had previously been a nightclub called JB's Margaritaville in Gulf Shores, Alabama in 1984, but Jimmy didn't own that. He just kind of gave them the thumbs up, and from what I've read, it wasn't a particularly special place, and it didn't last for very long. So Margaritaville proper launched in early 1985. It might have launched a little earlier, but Jimmy had to fight through a lawsuit to legally get his hands on the trademark of Margaritaville, because some entreprenizing businessman trademarked it first, and they needed to get that sorted out in court. And the entity that trademarked, or at least attempted to trademark, Margaritaville before Jimmy was none other than the Chi-Chi's restaurant chain.
I have such fond memories of Chi-Chi's.
Yeah, okay.
I saw that in your notes, and I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about Chi-Chi's for a second here. Chi-Chi's restaurant. Okay, they're all gone now. Although it exists as a retail brand, you can get chips, the worst chips of all tortilla chips.
Store brand's better?
Yeah, absolutely.
The Kroger brand ain't bad.
Spot on. And very interesting for our listeners. But what is kind of fun about Chi-Chi's is, we're in Wisconsin, and one of the founders of Chi-Chi's was Max McGee, who is a Vince Lombardi era Packers star. He caught the first touchdown in Super Bowl I on a pass from Bart Starr, so he's kind of a local legend for us. And there you go. And at some point in the early 80s, they had a Margaritaville drink special. So much so that they had to go out and get the trademark for it. So Jimmy had to sue him, and they wrestled over it in court. There's probably some legal eagles that would find this case very interesting, because the court case took a while, because Jimmy had to prove that Margaritaville was synonymous with him. You can't really trademark song titles. Van Halen can't trademark Jump. So Jimmy had to make the case that Margaritaville was, like, he embodied it, it's associated with him, and, that set some precedent.
He won, I hope.
Obviously he did, yes.
Okay. Well, I didn't know if maybe they came to, they could both use it or something. I mean...
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Yes. No, he won outright, and, of course, from this little gift shop in Key West, it became a fucking multi-billion-dollar behemoth of a corporate entity that is still going strong today, even after his passing. And this brand just evolves and gets bigger and bigger every year that goes by. So we'll talk more about that later. Ultimately, the early 80s, not my favorite stretch of Jimmy's career so far, obviously, but there are definitely some gems. So what's your takeaway from this little run of 4 albums and a couple of soundtrack one-offs?
If this is the level of music that he's making for the remainder of his career, the same level of I was going to say inconsistency, but with some good songs here and there that are, and good albums that are shining through, I'll be fine with it. I was totally fine with all 4 albums. I listened to 2 of them more than the others, but I mean, it was fine.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree. This is not a bad stretch. I would say hit and miss so far. Definitely have some favorites here that we'll cover right before we get out of here. But first, let's rank the albums we talked about. I'll go with mine first, and I suspect you'll be pretty much on board, maybe with one change. My ranking is One Particular Harbor, Coconut Telegraph, Some Distance, then Somewhere Over China, and then some more distance, and then Riddles in the Sand.
Yeah, everything except I would swap One Particular Harbor and Coconut Telegraph, but
Right.
just barely. Both
Yeah.
are very similar in terms of their quality and output to me.
Yeah, two of the stronger ones that we've heard really across all these episodes we've done so far. Okay, let's get to the fun part. Our top 5 Jimmy Buffett songs from this era. Let's see what we agree on. What do we disagree on? Do you want me to go first, or would you like to go first?
I'll let you finish out your own show, so I'll go first.
There you go.
All right, I'm going to do Coconut Telegraph, The Weather Is Here, Wish You Were Beautiful, One Particular Harbor, Incommunicado.
Okay.
And then initially I was going to put on The Good Fight, just because it's a nice song. Got rid of it, I Don't Know, from Fast Times.
It's so good.
It's a great song.
It's just so good. Because it's him in rock mode, which he didn't do a lot in this stretch, and I think that's what makes it stand out. And yeah, we have a lot in common. I absolutely agree with you on I Don't Know, Spicoli's theme, Coconut Telegraph, One Particular Harbor. I went with It's Midnight and I'm Not Famous Yet instead of Weather Was Here, Wish You Were Beautiful. That was a runner-up. It's Midnight and I'm Not Famous Yet. That one made me laugh a little more.
The $10 yo gotcha?
Yes. For my dark horse number 5, Living It Up. Give me that synthesizer, baby. Okay. So yeah, we have a couple we agree on. What should play us out?
I think I Don't Know.
I don't know. Yeah, I agree. Perfect. And then with that, we'll wrap up. But looking ahead, our next episode is going to be Jimmy Buffett in the late 80s, 1985 through 89. And among other things, we will discuss his first live concert film, Live by the Bay, which I teased earlier features a earring that puts the diamond stud to shame. We will also talk about his most famous hits compilation, which is probably how you and I were both introduced to him originally. And then, of course, his 4 studio albums from the late 80s, of which I know nothing about, so going in totally new to me for those. And the introduction of the word Parrot Head into the vernacular. Parrot Head gets christened in our next episode, and there's a fun little story with that, so we will talk about that next time. And then before we go, I also need to cite and recommend 2 books. One I mentioned earlier, A Good Life, All the Way by Ryan White. Excellent read if you want to learn more about Jimmy. It doesn't get too granular. It's a very accessible read. It's one of my favorites that I've read so far because Ryan also writes about the history of the original Margaritaville, that Key West Margaritaville that we were talking about. So highly recommended. And then another book that I read part of a number of years ago and don't remember too much of, A Pirate Looks at 50 by Jimmy himself. Are you still reading that?
No.
Oh, come on, man. You got to get back on it. So,
yeah.
Any final thoughts from you before we get out of here?
It was a good run. Not a great run, but a good run this time around.
Okay. And what are we playing out on? I don't know. Hey, thanks for listening. You know, there's no shortage of great content out there, so you choosing to spend some time listening to this show means quite a lot. If you're so inclined, please give this podcast a 5-star rating and a positive review wherever you get your podcasts. And share our links wherever you can. Or mention this show to anyone you know looking for a podcast recommendation. All of this helps us out a great deal, and I appreciate it. You can connect with us on social media too. We are at Play That Podcast on Facebook, Threads, Blue Sky, and even TikTok. Or we are at Play That Rock and Roll on YouTube and Instagram. Please post a comment and say hello. Finally, Play That Rock and Roll is a proud member of the Pantheon podcast community. So if you're looking for more music podcasts beyond this one, trust me, start with Pantheon. You won't be disappointed. Otherwise, I appreciate any and all efforts you take to support us here at Play That Rock and Roll. Be sure to join us next time for more great music and stories from the world of classic rock.